Hi waterfowl friends, my name's Emily from Cheese and Quackers Homestead. If you're not already familiar with us from our other socials, we're a small upstate New York homestead that focuses primarily on raising waterfowl. Today, I wanted to hop on here and make a really quick video about managing eye infections in ducklings and ducks because it's something that I see so commonly and I'm actually keeping an eye out for it right now in some ducklings that I have in the brooder. Eye infections in ducks and ducklings, in my opinion, is one of the easiest things to treat and one of the things we are most equipped to treat in an at-home setting. So I'm hoping that this gives you a really comprehensive guide on how to handle this if it comes up in your own flock. To kick off this video, I'm going to give you guys some life and farm updates. So if you're not interested in that and you just want to know how to treat a duck that you have at home, go ahead and hit that table of contents down below and skip over this section to get right into treatment. For those of you that are interested in what's going on in the homestead, we have some very exciting news. We did get a new batch of ducklings in from Metzer Farms. I'm so excited to have them after losing our duck Dipper last month. It's been really difficult on me, especially because she was a duck that I was really close to. So we added 3 new Australian spotted ducks and 1 penciled call duck in that group. I'm gonna go grab one of them to show you guys because they're actually in my office right now. So I'll grab Soup so you can meet her. This is Soup. She is such a cutie. This is a blue-headed Australian spotted duck. We also got 2 of the green-headed. They are just the absolute sweetest. We love this batch of ducklings so much. We've been having so much fun with them. We've definitely been spending an exuberant amount of time with them so that they're super, super friendly. Yeah. Do you want to hang out with me? On top of the exciting new duckling news, you might notice that I'm in a different environment than I typically film in. I'm actually in my office. We revamped my entire office because one of my New Year's resolutions was how can I get better information out to you guys in a way that's searchable. YouTube is the best platform to do that, so I'm going to be trying to focus on making more YouTube content that's just quick and easy. As I think of it, I can just sit down here and record. I don't have to deal with the ducks. As much as I love filming with them, sometimes they're very, very uncooperative. And making one long-form video could take up to weeks. So this is going to be a quick way for me to just sit down and have a conversation with you guys and get that information out, not only in a way that you guys can look up when you need it, but you can refer back to in the future if you need it again. How does that sound, Soup? Do you like the office? Do you like the duck-themed office? I'm gonna put her back. And the most exciting news of all that I have is me and Chrissy Ellis from Dunkin' Ducks are partnering together to start a waterfowl-based podcast called the Duck Ladies Podcast. Chrissy will be hosting, I will be co-hosting. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm so excited to finally have that outlet to give you guys species-specific information, do deep dives into breeds, all kinds of things that you're not gonna get in our typical content. So give that page a follow. I'm going to list all of the socials for that up here. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to be doing Waterfowl Wednesdays, and they're going to be so much fun. As far as flock updates, the big duck flock has been doing well. They've been really, really sick of the weather, I think, and I think all of us have. It's been brutally cold here in knee-deep snow right now. We've shoveled out a couple ways for the big duck flock to get around because their area obviously gets piled up with snow way more than the call duck area. The bantam flock is doing well. Everybody in there has survived the storms and is doing well. Popcorn, I know a lot of you were concerned about her after the loss of Dipper. She's also doing well. One of the reasons I was so motivated to get these new ducklings that we got is because of Popcorn, because she never really bonded to my call ducks like she did her Australian spotted partner. So I was able to get her more Australian spotteds. I'm so excited to get them out there for her because even though she's doing well, she's definitely experiencing loss and grieving in her own way. And she's spending a lot more time isolated than she did when Dipper was around. So these ducks are going to be so great for her. I'm so excited about that. I'm just really eager for them to grow up and be able to move outside so she can meet them and get used to them and hopefully make some new friends. Health updates. The only health problem that we are dealing with on the homestead right now is actually why I'm making this video today. And it is in our duckling Goji, which is our little penciled call duck. She had a pecking injury to her eye, which happens a lot. It really is a common thing that I deal with in my ducklings, but I think that just about covers it for updates. I'm really excited to be prioritizing YouTube more and doing more content like this because it is so much easier to give you guys better information on this platform than it is the short form platforms where things get buried and I end up answering the same questions every single year. This is going to be here to stay. I'm going to update these videos as new information becomes available to me or as I change my practices, but we're going to be using this platform as the burning epicenter of all of the information that we could possibly give you so that we don't have to depend so much on an algorithm. It's searchable. You guys know where to find us, and I'm really excited about it. Now, before I give you guys any kind of at-home care information, I have to do a disclaimer. This is not veterinary advice. I am not an avian vet. I'm not veterinary trained. So anything that I give you today is going to be at-home practice that we utilize with over-the-counter medications that are available to us. Depending on what country you're from, the medications that you see me utilizing or talking about in this video might not be available to you over the counter, in which case make sure that you're finding a resource that can guide you to similar medications available to you in your area, or you might have to change your practice and consult some local providers on their tools that they keep in their med kit. The reason that eye infections and eye injuries is hot on my brain, and I wanted to get to making it, is because we have a duckling right now, Goji, who actually is going through a little bit of an eye injury. And this actually happens really, really commonly when I'm raising young ducklings. I think I've had it a handful of times. If you guys remember, I'll throw the video up here. Oatmeal, which is one of my really, really popular ducks, she had pink eye. She was a duckling, and it was a nightmare. She actually had a really bad go of it, and I ended up doing a round of treatment, got her feeling better, and everything was good. But she was so bad that I had to actually isolate her from the other duckling. She was not happy, and I always blame it on why she's such a grumpy little duck today. But actually, Dippin' Dot, Oatmeal, surprisingly none of the standard ducks I've raised, but now also Goji is going through this pecking eye injury. Something that you might definitely see when you're raising ducklings, and even in adult ducks. We actually had this in my adult call duck, Cannoli. You guys might remember she had an injury to her eye during mating season, which is one time when these injuries can definitely happen a lot. And she had a torn third eyelid, so I actually had to treat her for an extended period of time, and it healed up perfectly. She's completely fine now. She has no effects from it. When dealing with the eye, eyes are really fragile, so a lot of the treatments are very, very gentle. Biggest thing you're ever going to do for keeping up their eye health in preventative measures is make sure that they have enough room in their water bowl, dunk their head, and clean their eyes appropriately. Now, before you start thinking, okay, I have an eye infection here, one important thing to note about a duck's eyes is that a duck's eyes and their respiratory system and their sinuses are all connected. So just because you're seeing signs of an eye infection does not always mean that you are treating just an eye infection. One thing that is really common to have eye-related symptoms is respiratory infections in ducks because their sinuses drain through their eyes. So if you're treating an eye infection, it should be a very isolated case. Typically, it's just one eye involved. They don't usually show signs of lethargy or respiratory symptoms of any kind. However, you want to be a little bit more concerned and maybe go down a different treatment route if you're noticing a lot of lethargy, some bilateral eye involvement with lots of pus coming out, any nasal discharge of any kind, more universal sick symptoms than you would see in just a typical eye infection or injury. Suggestive signs of just an eye infection is history of pecking injury. So if you have young ducklings and the ducklings have been playing a little bit harder than usual, one eye only, especially one eye only at the start. Sometimes eye infections can be bilateral, or pecking injuries can even be bilateral. But if you see one eye only first and then the second eye comes up later, no other systems are involved, they are acting their normal self, they are energetic, but they just have some funky eye stuff going on, that's typically going to be your eye infection signs. That's when you can start confidently going into treatment for eye infection and not so much worry about the respiratory side of things. I'm gonna go grab Goji so that I can show you guys what a pecking injury looks like. She actually looks okay today. I looked at her this morning and she really did not look bad. So I'm gonna put up on the screen an old video of Oatmeal where she had a really bad eye infection. So she had a pecking injury that did progress into eye infection. So I did have to treat her. She had the whole works. She was swollen. She had some discharge of the eye. She was down for the count for a couple days. And like I said earlier, she had to end up being separated. So here's my little patient. Let me see her eye. How you doing today? She looks pretty good. So she actually did have an injury to that membrane, that third eye. You gonna be squirmy? So you guys see here how her eye just doesn't look bright. She does not look too bad at this point. Actually, I am not treating for infection in her at this point. She does not seem to have any signs of severe infection. She's just got kind of a healing up injury. So in Goji's case, I knew that the origin of this kind of eye situation that she's going through was from an injury, because I actually witnessed the pecking injury that caused this accident. And also she had been getting picked on a lot by the other ducks in the brooder. So I'm gonna put her back. So my first line of defense in any eye injury situation is just saline flush 2 times a day. Sterile saline is super easy to find. If you don't already have it in your med kit, you can typically actually find it at your local pharmacy. Contact solution works as well. You're going to want to make sure that the contact solution that you're using has no additives, so no cleaning or preservatives or anything like that, just straight sterile saline. You can easily find sterile saline on Amazon. We have it linked in our Amazon storefront in our link tree, or you could just look it up and you'll find it. It's super easy and it's fairly affordable if you want to keep that on hand for your med kit. This is usually great. I have had a lot of success of just saline flushing. When it comes to preventing eye infection in injuries, I did this with my adult duck Cannoli as well, and I don't believe I had to start a course of antibiotics for Cannoli, which was great. Because that brings me to my next point, which is if you're starting to see signs of infection, which again is that swelling, that discharge from the eye that's possibly discolored, things like that, then you're going to have to move forward with some kind of antibiotic treatment for that eye. Luckily, we have this available to us over the counter. We use terramycin. Terramycin is wonderful. I always have this on hand for my flock. It is one of the best medications that we have accessible to us because it's extremely effective. The problem with terramycin is that, like any antibiotic, if you start this treatment, which is a 5 to 7 day course twice daily, you have to make sure you finish the treatment even if symptoms are improving. The reason that that is so important and is important with any antibiotic is because what we don't want to have happen is antibiotic-resistant bacteria. This can occur with early discontinuation of any antibiotic treatment that can lead to bacteria that sticks around and is then stronger and more resistant to antibiotic treatment in the future. So this is a ointment. It just goes right on the eye. Since I'm not using it, I can't show you how it works, but I'll show you the bottle. You just put a little drop right into the eye. They'll blink it in. It gets a little gunky. And it's important to keep in mind if you're using this, that sometimes this can make the eye look a little bit cloudy. So here's the tube. Just put a little line on the eye. They'll blink it in. Do not flush the eye after. Let this sit on the eye, even though it might look a little bit strange, but I promise they'll blink it out and it's all fine. But you really want that medication to be active and not washed away. If you're noticing any signs that your duck has like a cloudy eye or any like blue discoloration to the eye, there is a concern there that you are actually dealing with some kind of corneal ulcer, in which case you need to discontinue terramycin and seek vet care immediately. There is unfortunately nothing we can do safely in an at-home setting for that. Important thing that you need to know if you're going to be treating eye infection in your ducks, please make sure you're not using any steroid-based eye drops. Steroids actually suppress inflammation by reducing immune activity. So that's the exact opposite of what we want to have happen if we're treating for an infection. Basically telling the body, hey, stop fighting this bacteria. The bacteria can multiply faster, penetrate deeper into the eye, turn a very mild infection into a really nasty one. Steroids can also worsen damage if the cornea is scratched or ulcerated. Really, steroid use in ducks for any kind of inflammation is not something you're going to want to be doing at home without vet guidance. So I'm going to wrap this all up by making it super concise for you guys. You have an injury of some kind to the eye. The first thing you're going to be doing is that sterile saline flush. If that injury develops into infection or your initial signs were infection, then you can move forward with a duck-safe eye antibiotic treatment. When you start this treatment, you need to do it twice daily for 5 to 7 days. One drop on the eyes, swiped across, let them blink it in, and do not wash it out. I like to do morning and night so it's easy to remember. Symptoms might improve quickly with the terramycin, as they should, and if they do, you have to make sure you're finishing this treatment. Now, if you make it through both of those steps, or you make it to the end of your terramycin and you are not seeing improvement, you need to seek veterinary consult because there's something deeper going on, or potentially some kind of injury that is not going to be manageable at home. That about covers it. That's what we do in an at-home setting when we are managing some kind of eye injury or eye infection. As always, if you can get veterinary access day one when you start to notice something wrong with your duck, it's always ideal. However, I understand that that resource is limited, and for a lot of us, we have a lot of birds and we might not be able to run to the vet every single time something comes up. So you do end up treating situations like this at home and get really comfortable with that. So that is okay too. Now, if there's anything that I missed or if there's anything you want me to go further into, drop them in the comments below. I will be happy to answer them. We'll probably talk about this more on the podcast. Me and Dunkin' Ducks would be very excited to do a video based on this, and I'd love to hear some of her experience on it as well. So make sure you're following along with the Duck Ladies podcast page. I'm going to link that here again so that you guys can check that out. We'll probably do a deep dive on this in the future, and you'll get more experience-based stories and stuff like that on how we treated our birds in similar situations to this. I hope that you find this video helpful in the future if you come across this in your flock, and if you are in another country, definitely drop any of the resources that you use, like medications and stuff like that, in the comments below, because I know some of our information doesn't translate well, especially with some of our UK or other country followers. They typically have to tell us, oh, we don't have that medication here, or maybe they do have that medication there, but it's called something completely different. So if you know those medications, drop them below for any viewers that are scrolling through the comments trying to find the medication that is accessible to them. I would love to hear some more topics that you guys have that you want me to cover as far as common ailments that we might come across at home with our birds that we are able to treat at home, because I get messages daily and I can't always get to all of them, and the videos that I make about this in short form content kind of get buried. So comment below the one you want me to cover next. I'm going to try to do way more videos like this and try to be way more active over on our YouTube channel. So if you're not already, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Follow us on all of our short form pages as well so that you can get as many duck updates as possible. But that is all I got for this one. I hope you find this helpful, and I hope for the happiest and healthiest flocks you could possibly have, and that you don't ever need access to this video because nobody likes a sick bird. I'm looking forward to making more of these in the future. Bye guys!